Good morning, or good afternoon. I only see one person.
Yeah, let's. I just shared the. Let me turn off the music. Yep, I just shared the link in the group. Let's wait for a minute.
Good, here's another one. Oh,
Maybe we can start in a couple of minutes.
yeah.
Hello, hi Amara, hi Susmita, hello Lakshmi, hello Sravani. From where are you
Hi,
joining?
Jagdish. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Sravani, you're from Gothenburg.
Yes, I think I
Okay.
attended your session in International House of
Oh,
Gothenburg.
okay. So I have another session on 31st at this month end.
Okay, I'll look
Yeah.
into that. Thank you.
Yes. Come. That is, are you from tech background or what's your
Yes,
background?
I have almost 9 years of experience in performance testing.
Okay,
So
cool.
I'm trying
Nice.
to upgrade the skill with automation. So that's the reason I am attending the automation session also in the evening.
Perfect. You know, um, I don't remember her name exactly. So just one batch before we conducted automation testing classes. She is
Okay.
from automotive background actually, not into testing. She joined Playwright. She lives in Gothenburg. Actually, she got a job in Gothenburg
Mhm. Okay,
with Playwright.
great. Great.
So also I will share a lot of insights on 31st about tech jobs in Sweden.
Okay.
Gothenburg is a little bit heavier on automotive industry side.
Yeah, yes,
If you
yes.
take Stockholm, Stockholm is more like tech
But
side.
they need the automotive domain experience. I worked
Yeah,
mainly
exactly.
in the IT sector, so that is the backlog for me right now.
Yeah, I will share some insights on that. So if possible, come to International House Gothenburg on August 31st.
Sure. Thank you.
30 or 31st. You can check on their website.
Yeah,
They created
I
link on
look
the
into
website.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Sushmita Lakshmi, from where are you joining? Ashlesha, I think Ashlesha, you're from. Okay, I have one student, Ashlesha. She is from Sodathalia. She was from Sodathalia. Um, but I think Vedran, we can start.
Yeah,
You're also live.
I'll,
Yeah,
yeah. I only see four people, but I guess more
yeah.
people will come in. Well, good morning or good afternoon. Welcome back to manual testing. Just like yesterday, we will start off with a quiz, and then we will just go through the answers together. And then I'll introduce a new topic and we'll discuss that a bit. Uh, right, let me share. That's great. Yeah, do you see it? Uh, I will also copy the link um, and put it in the chat.
Those who are watching the stream online, you can also join the quiz.
Yeah,
You can use the QR code. Just scan the QR code and open your mobile, scan the QR code, and you will be able to join the quiz.
Yeah.
It just takes 10 minutes.
Yeah. I'll give you roughly 10 minutes to complete the quiz, then we can discuss the answers. So it's about yesterday's. There are some also from the first lesson. I think it's important to cover some terminology. So we just keep repeating and repeating so we get that. And I have uploaded on the drive words from yesterday. Also, both PowerPoints, both presentations are on Drive, so please check that out. So yeah, it's a lot about the words we learned, so it's good to repeat them. Okay, I see one person join, Lydia. We're doing a quiz, so you can either scan the QR code or follow the link, which I will send now. Go. So yeah, please sign up and we'll do the quiz. There are 15 questions, I believe. So it should take around maybe 10 minutes or so to complete. And of course, don't worry if you don't have time to answer all questions. We will, just like yesterday, go through them and you can ask any question you want.
Is the quiz started, Vedran? I think you need to start.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, that's rookie mistake. See, 2 people have finished. Let's wait a couple more minutes. I think we're almost done. Yeah, I think the last person finished. Good. Let's end it there. Right. Okay, let's go through the answers. See here. 1 moment. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, we can do it like this. So okay. First question. What does SDLC stand for? And it stands for Software Development Lifecycle. Everybody got that correctly. Number 2, what does it mean when a developmental model is iterative? Okay. It means that a project is built through repeated cyclical mini projects or iteration. If you remember the example we had in the presentation yesterday, you had sprints, these cycles, and you would maybe first develop not the complete product, but you would develop a sort of smaller part of it or a more maybe primitive version of it. Like we had the example with the scooter that then turned into a bicycle and then a car. So you would make a finished product in each one of them. So that's what a iterative model is. Okay. Number 3, which of these is a defect? Okay, so a defect, you remember, is synonymous with bug. A bug can be inside the system for a very long time without anybody knowing if it's there. So correct answer is A. It's maybe a bit tricky, but you cannot divide by 0. You would get a division error, but the software can run fine if you never execute this combination. If you have a calculator and you use every kind of combination, maybe you use it for a long time, but you never check the zero division error, then that could be a bug. So B, an unexpected error, that is actually just a message from a failure. That is not a defect. Actually, it's probably a good thing if you have the message on an unexpected error. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. Now, D, an untrained programmer missing a comma. Now, that's an error or a mistake, not a defect. So if you remember, mistakes and errors, which is maybe an untrained programmer, a programmer who's maybe tired and didn't work that well, implements faulty code, which is then the bug. Once you execute it, you get a failure. You might get a message like unexpected error happened. Yes. Number 4, a customer is happy with the software you presented, even though you have not reached what you think is the final stage. Which models does this describe? That is the iterative model. Again, you have a finished product and customer might say, I want that. Then it is a example of an iterative model. As you remember, the waterfall model is sequential. It goes in a sequence. You never go back to a, if you're done with testing, you don't go back to testing. Once you've deployed it, you have a full product. None of the other stages have a full product. Number 5, there are different activities when it comes to testing. Which of the following is not a testing activity? So, debugging is done by developers, not testers. So, debugging is not done by a tester. Analysis is done by a tester. Remember, that was one of the test activities. You have to analyze the requirements and see how maybe you can design test cases. Monitoring is also the second, or it can be in any really done throughout the development cycle. So you can monitor, also known as control. You're just monitoring how everything is going. Okay, which of these is smallest on the scale? You all got it right. It is unit testing. Unit is the smallest, also called a component. And then you have, you go bigger. And up there you have the system, that's the biggest. And of course, smallest is the unit. And then you integrate it. You have system, integrate the system, and so on. 7, which development model follows a step-by-step sequence where one phase is completed before the next begins? You got it right. It is the waterfall model. And yesterday, I believe I used the word linear. I do want to say that, yeah, a sequence is probably the more frequently used ones, but linear or sequential is both okay terminology. But I think sequential is more common. 8, what is the purpose? Let's see, sorry, my laptop. Okay, one person could not connect. I hope that is resolved. Number 8, what is the purpose of planning test activity? And it is to define the testing scope, objectives, resources, and schedule. You do not fix defects in planning. Planning is when you try to plan everything. But yeah, also fixing defects is a part of debugging. Number 9, a software works according to its specifications. However, it loads very slowly. what kind of testing is recommended? And that would be non-functional testing. That is correct answer. Functional testing. We'll talk about it today also. It is, you have something that you see if it works, and non-functional, you see how well it works, simply put. 10, which test level checks whether multiple components work correctly together? That is component integration testing, correct? Which of these is the best developmental model? Okay, so maybe trick question. Every model serves different purposes, so there is no best model really. Waterfall, yes, it is sort of the classical model, used very extensively in the past. Now it's more agile. That is maybe more common, but then again, every model exists and has its own purpose. Yeah. Okay, what is beta testing? Nobody got this one correct. Okay, so it is external user testing where nearly a finished product is given to real users in a real world environment before its official public release. It is not internal testing at all, actually. I believe that would be alpha testing. You test within the team, and then when you have sort of a prototype or almost finished product, you set it out for the intended user to test. Now, the example used yesterday, I believe, was a HR system that is going to be used. You deploy it, and then HR maybe uses it and sees if they're happy with it. And if they're not happy with it, you maybe send it back, you tweak it to the specifications, requirements, and when they're happy with it, you have an official release. Beta testing is also known as field testing. Okay. 13, who typically performs acceptance testing? Yes. Again, intended users or customers. Acceptance, you validate the product. It is not done internally. It is done by the intended users, just like beta testing. It is simply checks, will the customer accept it? 14, which test level checks whether multiple systems work correctly together? And that would, of course, be system integration testing. What is the biggest problem with a developer testing his own code? So the correct answer here is developers are not objective about their code. That is very common. It is not true that developers are not quality focused. They can definitely be quality focused. Developers do not have time to test their own code is incorrect. They can test their own code. As a matter of fact, again, we could talk about roles and teams. A team can be very small and might not have a dedicated tester. So a developer can also be a tester. So they definitely have time. And the correct answer is because it is very difficult sometimes to be objective about your own code. Same thing with if you're writing anything, you might have somebody who's proofreading. If you're writing a book, you're writing anything, an article, it is a good idea to have somebody proofread it to you. That's why you have also editors that can see what is good, what is not good, things you would not usually not see for yourself. Okay, good. Do we have any questions? And it doesn't have to be related to any of this. It can be yesterday's or day before yesterday's or anything else, maybe. I'll give you a minute. And then we'll continue to the presentation for today. Okay, no questions. Let's start then with session number 3. Oh, sorry. I think I will go like this. Oh, all good. You can see, just give a thumbs up or a quick yes if you see. Good, good. Okay. Right. Manual testing session 3. So last class we talked about the SDLC, the software development lifecycle. We talked about test activities, test levels. Today we're going to focus more on test types and maybe some test techniques. So a test type describes what aspect of the software we're testing. So in other words, we answer the question, what are we trying to verify? So there isn't just one way to test software. Sometimes we want to check that a feature works correctly. And other times we want to know if the application is fast, secure, or easy to use. And easy to use is, of course, dependent on who's using it. Different goals require different types of testing, of course. And today we will talk about functional versus non-functional testing. We will talk about techniques, which is black box versus white box testing. We will talk about confirmation testing, regression testing, and also maintenance testing. So different types of testing. Okay. So yeah, what is a test type? It is a category of testing that focuses on a specific aspect of the software. It helps us decide what we want to verify. For example, we might test whether a feature works correctly, whether the application is fast, or yeah, it is secure, as I said. And different test types are used for different goals. A lot of software, when you work it, they will use several of those, if not all of them. So if you would be testing, you would maybe encounter all of these test types. So let's talk a bit about functional testing. It evaluates the functions that a component or a system should perform. Okay, their functions, the functions, what the test object should do. So, for example, we have the users enter correct username and password, and then they should be able to log in. Or you have an incorrect one, then there should be an error message and not crash the whole system. So if clicking the login button does nothing, I mean, for sure, that's a functional defect. Yeah, some common examples of functional testing include, testing login pages. You can test search function, registration forms. You can test shopping carts or payment processes, maybe comment section if we're talking an application like YouTube, or is a video loading, things like that. So the focus here is always on what the software does, not how fast it is, how it performs under heavy use, right? And functional testing can be run at every test level. So remember, the test level, you can have functional testing on a unit level, small components, you can test it there. You can always test it on the system itself. We move on to non-functional testing. This is the one that evaluates attributes other than the functional characteristics, right? So non-functional testing is basically how well the system behaves. You have, for example, again with the login screen that you see, the login feature might work correctly, but if it takes 30 seconds to reach your account or login, then the user experience might be very poor. And that is what non-functional testing checks. There are different types of non-functional testing. You can do performance testing. Is it fast enough? Does it take 30 seconds or does it take 2 seconds to enter a website? There is security testing. That's a pretty big one. Is your data protected? Like that's very important, and maybe also today there's a lot of prompt engineered. Sometimes you see in the news prompt engineer app has a leak. A lot of usernames and passwords have been leaked, and so you have to test the security of the app, even though it works perfectly. Security might be a fault. Then there's usability testing. Is the application easy to use? Again, we're asking to whom? A tester or a developer might think this is very intuitive, but once it reaches the intended customer, it might be very confusing to use. I'm sure some of you have experienced websites or softwares that are where you're thinking like this is not at all intuitive. I don't know why they designed it like this. That is that is an example of usability. And we also have compatibility testing. Does it work on different browsers and devices? Now, you have to check for that. You might have something that runs perfectly in one web browser, maybe Chromium, and you test it in a different one and it doesn't work at all. You also have to check if it works on Windows. Does it work on Mac? Does it work on Linux? You have to keep in mind, does it work on different browsers and devices? And how well does it work? For example, in the past, if you open a website with your mobile phone, it might have looked just like the desktop version and not the best design or easy to read. Text was usually small. But now a lot of websites have, of course, the mobile version of the website. So in compatibility testing, you check things like how well it functions on other devices or browsers. Okay, reliability testing is also something that exists. It asks the question, does the software continue working over time without crashing? If you have a software, it might run fine, but how will it perform in a year, maybe 5 years? If it's intended to exist for that long, does it maybe slow down overuse? So you have to test reliability. So a simple way to remember this is functional testing is, does it work? And non-functional testing, how well does it work? Here's a side-by-side comparison. And it's based on requirements and use cases, functional and non-functional. It's based on quality characteristics. And as you remember, the word quality, it is not how well something is made, how much professionalism or goes into it. It is the degree to which a work product satisfies the stated and implied requirements. So, is the customer happy? Then it is good quality. Functional, pass or fail against expected behavior. You have test case saying, is it does the login screen work? Does it give out the right output, the number when we enter this combination? So it's either pass or fail, but non-functional, it is a lot for things you measure against the threshold. It's not just a pass or fail. Does the website load in 30 seconds? Does it load in 2 seconds? What happens if it loads in 2.1 seconds? Stuff like that. There are thresholds you measure. Yeah, example is login button signs the user in for functional testing, and for non-functional testing, you have, does the login respond under 2 seconds? Okay. Now we come to testing techniques. We'll talk about these a bit. We won't go in too deep, but I think this is important. So a black box testing technique is it's specification based, and it derives tests from documentation not related to the internal structure of the test object. Right? The main objective of black box testing is checking the system's behavior against its specification. So yeah, here the tester does not need to know how the software is built or how the code works, as with the website or a UI, any kind of UI. This tester simply interacts with the application as an end user. So what you see is also what the end user sees. So a tester would see and check whether it behaves as expected. And the focus here is on inputs and outputs. So input, if you enter a valid username and password, the output, you're expected to log in successfully. So it doesn't matter how it is programmed internally, right? Most manual testing is black box testing, because testers verify software from the user perspective. And the analogy here is that the black box means it is a box which you cannot see through. It's nothing to do with, maybe you heard black box in airplanes. This is very different. There's nothing to do with that. I just want you to imagine any kind of device, a machine, and you cannot see the wiring inside the machine. It is completely blocked off. So you only see the buttons. So black box testing, you're just pushing the buttons and see what happens. And the counterpart of this is white box testing. Okay, this is the complete opposite. In white box texting, the box is white or translucent, so you can actually see what's going on inside, right? It is structure based, and it derives tests from the system's implementation or internal structure, right? So the main objective of white box testing is to cover the underlying structure by the tests to an acceptable level. So white box, because there's a lot of internal logic, there's a lot of code paths, conditions, loops. It is therefore performed by developers or automation engineers, people who understand what is going on in the code. So you can test different codes, paths, and loops, and see if it behaves correctly. So, for example, a developer might write tests to make sure every branch, or not every branch, that violates the second principle. You cannot test exhaustively, but you can check up to a certain point every branch that is not trivial of the login function and see if it's executed as expected. I guess some of you are also taking the automation course, so you might have some coding experience, or looking at code, even though you might not be a trained developer or a coding expert. Sometimes you can look into a code and see, for example, oh, there's a plus sign here instead of a multiplication sign. That would be an example of white box testing. And of course, when you're doing black box, you would never see that multiplication sign or plus sign inside the code. Okay, let's move on to something different. Does anybody have any quick questions? Again, I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this is a bit different. Change-related testing. Now, what happens to test when the software changes? We've only talked about testing maybe before the official release of a product, but what does testing look like after release? And yes, can you test a product after it's released? Isn't that counterproductive? No, it is not. You can actually test products even though they are released. It happens all the time. It's very common. We'll take a look at this. And one example of this is maintenance testing. So once deployed, a system is often in service for many years or even decades. And during this time, the system and its operational environment is often, corrected. You have changes, you have extensions. And testing that is executed during this life cycle is called maintenance testing. It is not always done, but there are triggers for maintenance testing, and these might be modifications, such as planned enhancements. It could be corrective changes or so-called hot fixes. A hotfix is just an urgent targeted patch. So, for example, in 2019, there was a Cloudflare outage, like a global outage. And Cloudflare, if you don't know, it's a company that provides internet infrastructure. So a lot of websites depend on Cloudflare. But in 2019, there was a global outage. And so that means a large part of the internet, a lot of websites just stopped working. They were down for some time, but engineers fixed the issue within minutes. So that's an example of a hotfix, and also an example of maintenance testing, right? If something goes wrong, we got to know how to maintain the system. Another thing that could trigger maintenance testing is upgrades or migrations. Upgrades or migrations of the operational environments, like from one platform to another. And this can require tests associated with the new environment, as well as of the changed software. You test of data conversions, and you test when another application is migrated into a system being maintained. I can give you an example here. Netflix, as big as it is now, it was not always big, but there was a certain point in time when Netflix migrated its own data centers to Amazon Web Services to allow it to scale more globally. Otherwise, it would not be able to handle all the data. That's an example of migration, or yeah. And another one is banks. Banks might migrate customer accounts from legacy mainframe systems to more modern cloud-based banking platforms. You maybe know, you've seen pictures, or maybe you've seen it in real life, very old computers, mainframes, they're absolutely huge computers, the size of maybe refrigerators. They have those tapes running, and you imagine the 60s, 70s, but at some point, banking was very dependent on that. And of course, you have to, as technology evolves, you have to migrate the system to another system. So, what happens to all the bank accounts and numbers and all that? You have to make sure it stays the same. As I mentioned, also upgrades. You can upgrade anything that is functional. You can see it on websites like YouTube. YouTube is, it's existed for a long time, and of course it's changed features. It used to have a star system to rate videos, and then it changed it to like, dislike button. And then of course they have implemented things like Reels now to mimic, maybe Instagram. So these are examples of upgrades. And of course you need to test all this, upgrades, new features. Also online stores. If you have a checkout process, you can upgrade for other payments. Like if you have, maybe there's Apple Play, and then maybe they've added Google Play, or maybe next update they will add something else. So you have to test for changes like that. And maybe, the last one that could trigger maintenance testing is the retirement. When an application reaches the end of its lifetime, this can require testing, for data to be archived. For example, you maybe have an old banking system which you have to make sure that it's no longer processing transactions, or you have a very old URLs that you want to make sure they redirect correctly. You want to make sure that it's been retired correctly. And that's maintenance testing. There's a lot in maintenance testing, but it's usually bug fixes, updates, new features, and configurational changes. Okay. And speaking about change-related testing, different from, we're going back to the stage of testing, not after release. You will hear a lot about confirmation testing. This is when test fails, and we determine that the cause of failure is a software defect, and the defect is reported. So we can expect a new version of the software that has the defect fixed. Right? We want to make sure that it has been fixed. It is simply known as retesting. So in short, you would have a test, and that test might fail, and you make a change, and then you rerun it and see, does it work? Has the change fixed the defect? You use same data and environment to do this. You don't change anything else. And you close this defect only when the test passes. So after it's passed, you close the ticket or the test case saying it is done. And we also have its partner, which is regression testing. Regression testing, it's like confirmation testing, except it involves executing test cases that have been executed before and that already work. So you would check if, it's simply, I think we're running out of time, but I'll keep it short. So regression testing is just you want to make sure that a change has not affected an element. Okay, and side-to-side comparison here is you go back, you retest it for confirmation testing, and regression testing is did a change break anything? So you have to retest something to make sure it didn't change anything. Okay. It was a little bit quick, but yeah, the key takeaways for today are, we have test types that classify testing by the quality of its targets. We talk about functional testing, black box, the techniques used, if it's as the user does or as the developer, and the maintenance of an already released software. Okay. Do we have any questions? We have 5 minutes for questions. Again, anything about today or yesterday or the day before? Yeah, no questions. Okay. If you don't want to speak, you can write it in chat. Okay, thumbs up. It seems like you have understood. Okay, so I will upload later during this day. I will upload the slides. I will upload the glossary, a lot of the words, new words, and the definition of them. I'll upload that. So please have a look at that. And tomorrow, same time, we will do again the quiz from today. So I will be asking you about today and also from yesterday. And we'll do that and we'll discuss a new topic. Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vedran.
See you
Have a nice day,
tomorrow.
everyone.